At all events, plate tectonics not only explain the surface dynamics of the Earth, how an ancient Hyperion got from France to Florida, for example, but also many of its internal actions: earthquakes and formation of island chains, the carbon cycle, the location of mountains, the coming of ice ages, the origins of life itself. There was hardly a matter that wasn't directly influenced by this remarkable new theory. Geologists, as McPhee had noted, found themselves in the giddying position that the whole Earth suddenly made sense. But only up to a point. The distribution of continents in former times is much less neatly resolved than most people outside geophysics think. Although textbooks give confident-looking representations of ancient landmasses with names like Laurasia, Gondwana, Rodinia, and Pangaea, these are sometimes based on conclusions that don't altogether hold up. As George Gaylord Simpson observes in Fossils and the History of Life, species of plants and animals from the ancient world have a habit of appearing inconveniently where they shouldn't, and failing to be where they ought. The outline of Gondwana, a once mighty continent connecting all Australia, Africa, Antarctica, and South America, was based in large part on the distribution of a genus of ancient tongue fern called Glossopteris, which was found in all the right places. However, much later, Glossopteris was also discovered in parts of the world that had no known connection to Gondwana. This troubling discrepancy was and continues to be mostly ignored. Similarly, a Triassic reptile called Lystrosaurus has been found from Antarctica all the way to Asia, supporting the idea of a former connection between those continents. But it's never turned up in South America or Australia, which are believed to have been part of the same continent at the same time. There are also many surface features that tectonics can't explain. Take Denver. It is, as everyone knows, a mile high, but that rise is comparatively recent. When dinosaurs roamed the Earth, Denver was part of an ocean bottom, many thousands of feet lower, yet the rocks on which Denver sits are not fractured or deformed in the way they would be if Denver had been pushed up by colliding plates. And anyway, Denver was too far from the plate's edges to be susceptible to their actions. It would be as if you pushed against the edge of a rug, hoping to raise a ruck at the opposite end. Mysteriously, and over millions of years, it appeared that Denver has been rising like baking bread. So too is much of southern Africa. A portion of it, 1,000 miles across, has risen nearly a mile in 100 million years without any known associated tectonic activity. Australia, meanwhile, has been tilting and sinking over the past 100 million years as it has been drifting north towards Asia. Its leading edge has sunk by some 600 feet. It appears that Indonesia is very slowly drowning and dragging Australia down with it. Nothing in the theories of tectonics can explain any of this. Alfred Wegener never lived to see his ideas vindicated. On an expedition to Greenland in 1930, he set out alone on his 50th birthday to check out a supply drop. He never returned. He was found a few days later, frozen to death on the ice. He was buried on the spot and lies there yet, but about a yard closer to North America than on the day he died. Einstein also failed to live long enough to see that he had backed the wrong horse. In fact, he died in Princeton, New Jersey in 1955 before Charles Hapgood's rubbishing of continental drift theories was even published. The other principal player in the emergence of tectonic theory, Harry Hess, was also at Princeton at the time and would spend the rest of his career there. One of his students was a bright young fellow named Walter Alvarez, who would eventually change the world of science in quite a different way. As for geology itself, its cataclysms had only just begun, and it was young Alvarez who helped to start the process.